Yeah, me too. Do you want to go to the DC?
Yeah, let's go to the DC. Okay, let's go. All right, so that was the first paradigm of the 6 paradigms of human interaction, and that's the win-win situation. In this situation, decisions or solutions are satisfying towards all parties, so there's plenty for everyone, and success is not achieved at another's expense.
Hey, Bianca, do you want to go to the DC? I'm really hungry.
Yeah, I'm hungry, but I actually want to go out.
Oh, well, I want to go to the DC, so that's what we're going to do.
That would be the win-lose situation. This paradigm is for the authoritarian approach. This is when one person gets their way and then the other does not. This paradigm also has a heavy influence through family and their children. Children often feel compared to others by parents or peers, which makes them feel less valuable. Their value is based on others. So if one person is winning, that means the other one is losing. And ultimately, it's kind of as if it were a competition.
Hey, Bianca, do you want to go to the DC? I'm really hungry.
I have the stomach flu.
But I really want to hang out with you. I haven't gotten to see you in forever.
Okay, I guess I'll eat with you. This would be the lose-win situation. This is when a person has more of a weak mentality that allows the person to be taken advantage of. They are searching for approval and the acceptance of others. These people tend to bury their negative feelings, and eventually they can come out in a worse case scenario. This tends to affect self-esteem in relationships. I'm hungry. You want to go to the DC?
Actually, I wanted to go out to eat.
Well, I don't have any money.
But I want to go out to eat. I've been eating in the DC like way too much.
Well, I don't have any money, so I can't go.
Well, I guess I'm not going to go either.
Well, I guess we're not going to go either.
Fine, we're not eating.
This is the lose-lose situation. This is the philosophy that a highly dependent person without an inner direction who is miserable is thinks everyone else should be as well. And so Covey gave the example of an ex-husband who I guess was going through a bitter divorce, and he sold his over $10,000 car for $50 and gave his wife $25. So in this case, his bitterness was so high that both parties ended up losing. I'm hungry, so I'm going to go to the DC. You're welcome to come if you want.
Okay.
This is the win situation. This is the mentality of looking out for oneself and securing one's own ends. The person does not focus on beating or trying to make someone else lose. It's just a matter of looking out for yourself, and others are up to their own. It's up to their own ends to make something happen.
Hey, Bianca, I'm going to go to the DC. Did you want to come?
Well, I kind of wanted to go out.
Oh, okay. Well, I actually remembered that Allie asked me if we could go to the DC, so I'll just go with her.
Okay. Well, yeah, I was going to meet Katie at the DC.
Okay,
So
perfect.
we'll do it later. This is the win-win or no deal, and this is the final paradigm. No deal is agreeing that a decision cannot take place for both sides. It's an agreement to disagree because both sides, maybe their values are going in opposite directions. The win-win involves both sides postponing gratification kind of at a later date or in hopes that farther down the road both will be satisfied. And the win-win situation is most ideal at the beginning of a business relationship. The most effective paradigm of these 6 is dependent on the reality of the situation. Some circumstances call for affirming another person, in which case you might lose the lose-win situation. Or other circumstances might cause for a win-lose situation, as if you were in like a competitive sport.
So now that we've discussed the paradigms of interaction, we're going to focus in on win-win. Win-win involves, there's 5 dimensions of win-win. First is character. Character has 3 parts. The first is integrity. Integrity we defined before when we were discussing other habits as the value we place on ourselves. And it's developed, if you can develop and maintain habits 1, 2, and 3, then you will have integrity. What the point is to be able to know what your innermost core values are so that you can make all of your decisions that are harmonious with that, and you won't be having an incongruous, mental situation. Next is maturity, which is the balance between courage and consideration, which is to say that you have the courage to express your feelings and convictions, but also the consideration for the feelings and convictions of the other person. So that is displayed here. It's a balance between courage and confidence. I'm sorry, that's not supposed to say confidence. consideration but low courage, you will have a lose-win situation where you are totally focused on what the other person wants, you want to make them happy, but you're not confident enough to express your own needs. Where Bianca had the stomach flu, but I said that I wanted to hang out with her, and that was my concern. So she said, that's totally fine, she didn't have the courage to say, well, actually, I'm gonna throw up if I go eat. If you have high courage and low consideration, you're in a win-lose situation, which is to say that you are able to express your thoughts and feelings, but you don't have any consideration for what the other person needs. So that's when I said, I want to go to the DC, and Bianca said she wanted to go out to eat, and I said, well, we're going to the DC. I didn't care that she wanted to go out to eat because it was her birthday or whatever it is. I wanted to go to the DC, and that's all that mattered. I didn't have any consideration for her needs. The best is right here, to have both high consideration and high courage. The ability to express your thoughts and feelings, but care about the thoughts and feelings of another person. That is, the balance of these two is the mark of real maturity. The third part of character is the abundance mentality, which says that there is plenty out there for everyone. We're conditioned to think in this scarcity mentality, which says that if you have more, I have less, and therefore that puts us in competition because we both want to have more of that same pie or whatever it is. So if you use the abundance mentality, it allows you to take the personal joy, the satisfaction, and fulfillment that we found in habits 1, 2, and 3, take them from a personal victory to a public victory so that everyone can experience the joy and satisfaction. The second dimension of win-win is relationships, which is pretty much dependent on the emotional bank account. It is the essence of win-win. Lucas talked about on Tuesday making deposits and making withdrawals, and if you have a high emotional bank account, the relationship portion of win-win is easy. Sometimes, however, people are conditioned to win-lose, and the way that you can fix that problem is by focusing on your circle of influence, the things that you can fix, the things that you can do, and the number one thing you can do to fix that is make deposits into your emotional bank account, and you'll find that people start opening up, your circle of influence grows, and you have to stay longer in the communication process so that that win-lose person can realize that win-win is possible. No deal is also always an option. It can actually save relationships if you don't choose to combat each other. But not every decision must be win-win, just like Bianca said before. If you need to affirm a person and you need to kind of step back a little bit, that could be a lose-win. But that all depends on the status of the emotional bank account. The third dimension of win-win is agreements, which is shifting the paradigm of production from vertical to horizontal, which is to say, instead of having a hovering supervision, you become self-supervised and you can become partners in success. So if you're working on a project together, you make an agreement, which there are 5 elements of a win-win agreement, and your whole goal is to become partners in success. So the 5 elements are desired results, what do we want to get done? Next is guidelines, how are we going to do it? Resources is third, and that is what are we going to use, what do we have available to us to achieve our desired result. Next is accountability, which is the standards of performance. So we know what we're doing, we know how we're doing it, but how well do we want it to be done? What is our criteria? And then finally the consequences, which is what happens as a result of the evaluation or the accountability part. And they can be good and bad, natural and logical. Would it make sense to not have the punishment fit the crime in a way? But the main point about the agreements dimension, the main point about the agreements dimension is focusing on results, not methods. So if you become partners in success, you have your desired result that you want, and if you are hovering over your partner, figuring out each little step that they're taking to do it, then you're focusing on the results, on the methods. But if you focus on the end result, then you will get a lot of human potential and allow for creativity and ultimately a better project. The fourth dimension of win-win is the systems. Win-win will only survive if the systems support it. You have to talk win-win and reward win-win. If you're talking win-win and rewarding win-lose, you have a losing paradigm. Covey gave the example of a businessman who was so frustrated with his workers because they weren't working together, and he said, I give them a huge reward if they work together. They get this huge awesome reward, and I don't understand why they're not working together because it's a really big deal. And so the businessman shows Covey this poster with all of his employees' names on it, and then at the end it was like a racetrack kind of, and at the end it said Bermuda, and he was offering them this trip to Bermuda. If they worked together, they would get points and move along the racetrack, and the person who got there first won the trip. And so he was wondering why his company wasn't working together when he was rewarding them with a competition. They were competing because the system was a competition, and so it was a losing paradigm. And Covey said that the problem is often the system, not the people. You could have great people who are good at working together, but if you provide them with their goal is competition, they will compete. Good people and bad systems will yield bad results. The fifth and final dimension of win-win is processes. The most important part of the process is to separate the person from the problem and focus on interests, not positions. Take the emotion out of it, just say these are the issues, this is what we want to accomplish, and we need to focus on the problem, not the person. So there are 4 ways, there's a 4-step process to having a good process. First is to see the problem from the other point of view, really try to understand where your partner is coming from, and that's actually more about habit 5. Then you need to identify the key issues and concerns, not positions involved. So the issues that are involved that will impact how the decision is made, but not the positions, the opinions that each person has. Third is to determine what results could constitute a fully acceptable solution. So that is to say, what constitutes a win-win. And fourth is to identify how to achieve that. How do we get there? You can only achieve win-win solutions with win-win processes. The ends and the means have to be the same. So, having said all of that, Bianca, do you want to go to the DC?
Sure, let's go.
Are there any questions?